Hi, my name is Johnny. You might know me from said channel, voila. Normally I just sit down and play games all day on the channel. I don't really talk about personal stuff and, you know, stuff that doesn't really fit the theme of the channel and, you know, whatever. But I kind of just wanted to make a video that, I don't know, maybe somebody who's going through something similar can take it and just maybe get another perspective. Maybe to feel like you're not so alone. Um, I'm not a, I'm no therapist or anything. The information I have is just based on my own experiences as well as some of the stuff that I've watched, on YouTube or read about online or stuff that my family and friends have told me. But to preface and give context, so about a year ago, my wife and I split up. It wasn't hostile, and it wasn't slow. It was pretty quick. It happened over a matter of like 3 months before, everything kind of just hit the fan. And it was more one-sided. But basically, to skip all the details, it didn't give me a whole lot of time to prepare or grieve a relationship beforehand. And I wouldn't say it necessarily came up suddenly, because during those 3 months, I kind of felt obviously something was off, but she pretty much just stopped having romantic feelings for me, and at that point I knew that was it. Like, there was no salvaging this. And I know how I felt at that moment, because I still desperately wanted to fix things, and I know that, some people were like, oh, well, maybe you're just comfortable with the situation, and maybe, this is for the best or whatever. But genuinely, my heart was shattered after that point. And it wasn't because of, oh, well, my comfort's going to be gone now. Like, my life's going to be a wreck. What am I going to do in the future? Blah, 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 blah. All I could think of was I still loved this woman, and all I could think of was just how much it hurt. But at the same time, I refused to let somebody be stuck in a situation where they're not happy. She wasn't happy with me. I wasn't happy with the way things were going the last 3 months prior to that. And, shit happens, I guess. But, I just know that how I felt was, it's one of those things where you feel like you're going to just constantly think about that person and go over everything in your head. And it's just kind of like, I'm sorry if this is sounding repetitive, or, this is all unscripted, I'm just kind of going off of whatever I'm feeling. But, we got 2 kids, and it's like, in an instant, it felt like, that was all just compromised. However, we did work it out to where, you know, I just wanted peace. I wanted there to be not chaos surrounding me all the time. It would be more of a struggle to be in a different situation right now. So we decided to continue living together and with our kids to co-parent. However, when one person still loves the other and the other doesn't love the other, it definitely creates a very difficult situation for the person who still loves the other to move on, and that would be me. It's been very difficult to move on while still seeing her, and I don't see her all the time. I mean, I go to my friend's house 3 days a week. She goes to her new partner's her new partner's house 3 days a week, so we're not really seeing each other that much, and that's helped. But for those of you who have been in a similar situation, you literally just need to try your best to separate from them as much as possible. You know, don't, as hard as it is, try not to put yourself in that mind state of just being stuck. You know, I get it. I'm still at that point. I still have my hard days. Today's one of those hard days, in fact. You know, I was crying earlier, which is kind of what made me want to make this video. But, you know, specifically for a situation where you're living like that, the best thing you can do is just distract yourself, boot up a game, go to a friend's. Having supportive friends has been the thing that's saved my life with this whole situation. And being able to have friends that are fine with talking about it, and they're not going to get irritated with you even if it's been a year, 2 years. You need friends like that are supportive. Go to the ones you know that will support you. The family that'll support you. Sorry. My kid just came out, and I don't really like talking about this kind of stuff around her, because she doesn't really like talking about it either. But, that's the best thing you can do in this kind of situation, is just, you know, distract yourself. You know, unfortunately, people have to work too. And if your job is not exciting and it doesn't keep you on your toes, then you're going to end up thinking about it quite often. You're going to ruminate. You're going to be thinking a lot because you're in your own little world. Unless you're at a job where it's like busy and chaotic, then it's all right. But, you know, just try to look up, like, some jobs, most jobs I would say, don't allow you to watch YouTube videos on your phone while you're working. But I've been lucky enough to, you know, have a job where they're pretty lenient on phone usage. So I usually just put it on, like, I think his name's Jay Shetty or something. I'll put a link or something right there. I watch a lot of his videos to kind of help me get through it. I'll listen to it like it's a podcast, essentially. And, you know, it'll help me get a little bit more of a perspective on things and how, you know, pretty much your life isn't over. You know, this is just the start of a new life for you. You know, it doesn't feel like it, especially when you're still in that situation. But there will come a day when you don't, or you won't be in that situation. You know, my kids are getting older. One day they're not going to be so young. And there's going to come a day when, you know, my ex-wife's partner is going to want to live with her and vice versa. And then we'll have to figure it out from that point. But I think that would probably be for the best, if I'm being honest, because when you separate from somebody, that's kind of the best way to get over them, is to just be separated. Just cut the ties as much as you possibly can, even though I'm guilty of not cutting those ties, because I still care about her a lot. I still love her. But, I respect her boundaries, and I understand the situation. So, in reality, I just want her to be happy. I mean, that's kind of the reason why I was like, when she said, I don't love you like that anymore, I was like, all right, well, it is what it is. I just want you to be happy. And that's something that a lot of people do. And it's probably a little bit of a self-sabotage thing. And, but at the end of the day, you wanting her to be happy, or him, is also helping yourself, because, if that's what you want, truly, for them to be happy, and they end up being happy, then, they just did what you wanted. And you should look at things a different way, try to be a little bit more positive, have a positive spin on it, with as hard as it's become, and with as hard as it can be on a day-to-day basis. But try to think of the love that you shared with that person. I was with mine for 14 years, and like I said, most of those years were good. Like, I was not dissatisfied with my marriage. And I look at that as, the person who I loved before, she may not be that person anymore, but they're still that person in my heart. And that memory doesn't just go away, and it will probably never go away. So to a degree, that's why a lot of people are like, I still love this person, I'll always love this person. That's pretty much why they say it. The memories that they have, they cherish. And I will cherish the memories I have had with my wife. And, it's just hard. And you gotta look at yourself and try not to be too hard on yourself, because if you're in a situation like this where you loved somebody and then they didn't love you back and it just didn't work out for whatever reason. I forgot what I was saying. My daughter came out again. So, but yeah, if it didn't, oh man, I forgot. I lost my train of thought. Crap. Oh, don't be too hard on yourself, because you loved somebody, and the fact that you're hurting as much as you are, and probably still are, that's proof that you truly were capable of feeling love. And it's possible you could, you have the capability, so you also have the capability of falling in love again, with as difficult as it may seem. And while you still love this other person, and you probably always will, because of the good memories that you had and built, and the life you built together, blah, blah, blah. There's enough, if there's enough room and boundaries set, then it's capable to move through it. I mean, I'm a lot better off than I was a year ago. I mean, for the most part. I don't have a clear life goal right now. I don't have a vision of my future, considering the economy and how difficult it is to live these days, especially by yourself and supporting kids. But there is a life ahead. You have more opportunities to do what you want. You can try to do the goals or do something that you've always wanted to do without having to worry about the other person's permission or how they feel about it. You know, they don't really have a say in that anymore. Sorry. I keep having to stop because she keeps coming out. But I'd highly suggest against trying to find another partner quickly. You need to you need a lot of time to process your feelings. And if you're one that still loves somebody and it hurts, and you're just trying to fill that void cannot be filled like that. Because you'll just go back to thinking about the other person. You know, speaking from experience, I've tried dating a few different, well, I guess not really dating, but talking to somebody or certain people different times. I've tried dating apps. I tried meeting up with somebody like twice or something. And each time it always ended in either getting scared and running away, telling them I can't do it, like, I'm sorry, and, you know, like my first experience trying to do something else was basically just, what was the first one? I went on a dating app, found somebody I used to work with on there, ironically, and we met up, and, you know, we were gonna, enjoy ourselves, and it just didn't work out because I ran into something online, like basically a Facebook account that my wife had made separate from what she had, and it kind of just threw me into a tailspin. And at that point it was like, well, this is ruined, so that didn't work out. And then after that I met up with a different friend of mine from a long time ago, somebody I've known since like 5th grade, and I dated her a long time ago, and that didn't end up working out. I mean, not that I tried to, date them, but I kind of wanted to feel the same feelings I had back then. Obviously, thinking about it in hindsight, it was kind of a stupid idea, because obviously when you don't talk to somebody for so long, those feelings go away, which is kind of what we're kind of going on here. That eventually the feelings do go away with distance. But that didn't work out because I felt like they were still kind of attached, and I wanted to be attached, and I kind of forced myself to be attached, and it just freaked me out. So that didn't work. And then I had I talked to somebody else on a different app, and that one I got to know her a little bit on Discord. We kind of had somewhat similar trauma experiences, and I understand that's called like trauma bonding or whatever, but it wasn't like anything bad or anything. It's not like either of us were getting attached really quick or anything, but I felt a little something with that one. And then one day I was struggling like I am today, with my wife, and I had not really had anybody to talk to at the moment, so I kind of reached out just so I had somebody to talk to. I reached out to her, and that's a big red flag of, oh, well, this guy is obviously not ready, so let me just give him his space, and then nothing came of it. And then somebody else I worked with, I tried going to see her, and it felt weird trying to get to know somebody else, like in person, and somebody new in person. Didn't really have anything in common. Didn't work out. You're going to find yourself a lot of times feeling like you just can't get over it. Every time you try, it's just going to fail. And it's, to some degree, it's true. It's going to probably fail if you still have days where you're still crying over somebody. Because, I mean, let's be real. You know, you loved somebody so deeply that that kind of pain doesn't go away for a long time. And you can't enter a new relationship with somebody without giving them your whole heart, you know. But I guess what I'm getting at is, you know, just keep your head high. Do your best not to judge yourself. You did what you could. The actions are done. And what you say doesn't matter anymore. If they don't love you, then why would you want them back? That kind of thing, you know. Because they already broke your heart one time, and it's bound to happen again. It's not the first time they've done it. And some people, it does work out, but I feel like that's just kind of more of a lower end statistic. I think you kind of just have to have a certain respect for your partner or your ex-partner. And whether you like it or not, you know, you got to respect their decision, what they decided to do, what to tell you, and, you know, whether whoever decided to end it, you just got to respect that decision. And just try to move on every day. Feel the feelings, feel the pain, because someday it'll not be there, but you have to take yourself out of the situation. If you're like me and you still live with them, it takes longer, it seems, but separating yourself from somebody is probably the biggest thing you can do. Don't think about them as much, or it'll prevent you from thinking about them as much. Because eventually you'll just stop caring as much, and you'll get tired of hurting, and you'll get tired of feeling like you weren't worth it, like all the pain that you went through hasn't been validated, and, you know, you just gotta be strong. I don't know if this video is helpful in any way. I guess it's more of a life update slash therapeutic style video, I guess. I mean, I don't know. But just continue on, keep trekking, and do your very best. And you'll make it through it someday. This doesn't last forever. This feeling is not going to last forever. We all usually live to be quite old. And I'm assuming unless you're like 80, 70, 80 years old, then you probably got a long while ahead of you. And there's so much you can do with your life that's, you know, unseen. You know, nobody can see the future. You might have a better job. You might have something that gives you comfort that you don't know about. Emotional comfort. Or once again, I had to... Yeah, daughter came out. Anyway, you're doing good. Keep it up. For anybody that's going through this, who's still trucking along, I'm proud of you. I know it's hard. I know how hard it is to get through your daily life But take things one day at a time. Do not focus on your future right now. Right now, just focus on yourself and getting through the day. That's what's important. You can be strong. You can be weak. But at the end of the day, the most important person to you is yourself, because you're the only person that's ever going to be with you for your whole life. You got to take care of yourself before you take care of anybody else. And that's so important that, I don't think people realize. Anyway, I hope this maybe helped somebody or put it into perspective for somebody. But yeah, I guess that's it. Thanks for watching.